Hello and welcome to the start of a brand new series. During this set of videos I'm going to go through all of the game modes, talk to you about the best and the most up-to-date strategies to help you and your friends win games. I'm going to talk a fair bit more in this first video to preface, the ones coming up. So I'd like to start off by saying that the game itself splits the modes into a bunch of different categories. You've got race, you've got hunt, team, survival, etc. But I like to see them in two. Two game modes are PvP and PvE. Now I'm sure that everyone has heard of those terms, but before I want to clarify that yes, every single one of these games is against other people, but my point is, are you directly fighting other people, tail grab, full ball, or are you going through the course and there just happens to be other people in your way? We are going to talk a fair bit about risk versus reward. A few games have huge consequences for taking risks and getting it wrong, and some games have none if you do it right. There are some games with risks that, even if done horribly wrong, can even give some reward still. Some, if not all of these tips and strategies can be adapted to play solo, or if you've got friends with you, but because you have no in-game chat, voice or otherwise, there are modes with a huge advantage if you can talk to the other members of your team. If you can communicate effectively to the other people in your team, you're going to have a much easier time in most, if not all, of those PvP game modes. So, with no further ado, the first game we're going to talk about is Hexagon. Arguably my favourite final. My main reason for that is that it's the most complicated and has the ability to have the highest skill ceiling. There is no clear meta. There is a few strategies that come to mind. Do you drop down? Are you aggressive? Are you passive? I've said that the game modes fit into two categories, and I'm going to contradict myself straight away, because this is the one game that goes into both. Depending on your playstyle and the way the game plays out, it can be either. Dropping down currently seems to be the favourite, and I only believe that's true because of the surge of YouTube videos saying that it is. But it only works in some situations. Because of the amount of people doing it recently, I believe that staying high is more viable in this early stage of the game. So, first strategy, dropping down. Unfortunately, you're making a gamble. If you choose this strategy, one of two things is going to happen. Either you and you alone drop down, you go as far as you want, and you can make a big enough hole on whichever platform you want, you're going to have a good time. You have a much higher chance of knocking out other players. More so for the ones that are staying high and trying to cling on to the remnants of the other platforms. If you're the only person that dropped, you don't have to worry about fighting other people like all the others are. There's now X many of them up there fighting for those platforms falling down. Any small mistake that they make it now has a bigger risk. When you start this strat, you're making a gamble on whether other people are going to do it too. If more than two people end up on a platform, that platform will not last long. The whole point of this strategy is that you destroy an entire platform as quick as possible, and then you cling to the outsides waiting for everyone to fall. If more than two people are there, that platform destroys way too quickly, and you're setting yourself up for failure. For me, the most effective and successful way to do this is to run between two tiles and take out the middle as soon as possible. Once I have the 1-2 tile rim around the outside, that's when I start to jump to save the platform. I generally don't go down to the lowest platform either. I normally go to the second or the third lowest just to give myself a bit more leeway if I get it wrong, or other people jump down and to start to clear the same platform as me. So when me and my friends go into a final, we agree that we won't directly help each other. It's cheap, it's not what we're about, and we kind of want to win off our own merit. If we can make it so that there's at least one of us can win, then fantastic. We'll use tactics to help the collective, but not our individuals. We don't pick, this person's going to win and we help them win. This only works in Hexagon is if we use the same strategy. If we all use the drop-down strategy, we can coordinate which floors we're going on to. If we can make multiple holes in the platforms, then we're growing the risk for all those above us exponentially. Any small mistake they make, now there's bigger consequences for. The stay high / jumping technique. When would I do this? I generally do it if I was on my own. It's quite a hard technique to communicate to other people, who's jumping where, so we don't normally bother. When you're starting out with this one, it's actually a lot safer. If you fall off early, you can always just swap to the drop down technique, bearing in mind that other people may have dropped down before you. But if you find yourself quite high up on a platform, plenty of room, preferably alone, The aim is to jump from tile to tile, standing on them for the maximum amount of time before jumping to the next one as it disappears. This will increase the amount of time per tile and therefore the amount of time you can stay in the game. It's far more difficult to pull off successfully, but the reward is the amount of time that you can pull this off for greatly exceeds dropping down. If someone can do this effectively on multiple platforms, they're easily going to outlast someone lower down that's just destroying the floor. Now we've got the two main strategies out the way, there's a fair few tactics that come into play when you're in Hexagon. They all depend on two factors, how high you are and how many people are left, the former being the more important. Generally, the higher I am, the more risks I will take, the more risky I will play. I have more room for error. If I'm able to be the highest person, I can solely concentrate on slowing the decay of my platform through jumping. So I will normally take more risks higher up to try and get myself an optimal position in the field. Tactics break down into two parts, and you can direct your game either way. Do you want to play aggressively and force people out of the game, or do you want to stay passive, away from everyone else just trying to survive? This is why Hexagon is a PvE or a PvP game. You can at least try to choose. We've already gone over all the passive play stuff, but there's one other thing to talk about. If you can cut out sections of a platform to the point where no one can get to you or there's no one above you, then you're all set and you can jump your game away in peace. When it comes to aggressive play, and my personal favourite, the aim is to cut people up and to force them down the game. If you can correctly guess their path and get enough of a lead, you can force them down a level, they'll fall, or you can at least force them to panic and choose an unfavourable path, leaving yourself one less opponent to deal with. If you can do this consistently on the lowest level, you've already won the game. But bear in mind that being aggressive generally destroys a lot more tiles than leaving them. Sometimes leaving somebody alone to extend the game time may be in your best interest. Now, to summarise, every Hexagon game comes down to who can manipulate the game. What I believe to be the most important skill when it comes to Hexagon is actually the ability to plan your path. If you can choose the correct way to go, you can cut off routes for other people, you can segregate a part of the map for yourself to be able to jump on. All these things I've talked about I hope help you in the future, and now I've given you some tools. There is no meta, there is no key to victory, but hopefully some of these tips and tricks and things I've made you think about, you'll have a much better chance. Now, for those that have made it this far in my video, I'll share something else. Something that has saved me more times than not. If you know you're going to fall, there's no platform left, jump. When you jump, you can also dive at any point in time. You can even change direction in midair, and this has saved me so many times. I'd like to end this video with just saying, starting a YouTube channel is really daunting for me. Everyone finishes their videos with, oh, if you like the video, like and sub, and however, that would be fantastic. Honestly, I'd want your feedback. Leave me a comment saying what you liked, what you didn't. That would be the best thing for me, and I really appreciate it.